Yes. So we spoke the last time about cell manipulation. We reference rows and columns. Columns are the lines coming downward, and rows are the ones moving from left to right. And then we talked about how to automatically fill cells where we used our date column as an example. And then we typed in January, and then we dragged down from the that plus to when we got December. And then we did our sales, and we talked about how to break the numbers with commas so that in case you have very lengthy numbers, you will be able to separate them with ease so that your work looks a little bit more presentable. Okay, so today we are going to capitalize on what we have done earlier, and I want us to master some of the shortcuts used on Excel. All right, so if you look at my screen, I have a workbook already prepared, and I have written out the shortcuts we are going to work with, and I'm just going to show you how to use them very quickly so that we don't waste our time. All right, so we have Control W to close a spreadsheet. Now for that, I'm going to open a new spreadsheet. This is sheet 4, and Control W is asking me if I want to save my worksheet, and obviously I like to click save in case there was any error, and with that, that whole Excel tab is gone. All right, but of course we're working with it, so I want it back. So I'm going to go back to open and click on it, and it comes back up. Now we have sheet 4, which is the last thing I worked on, the last worksheet I worked on. So sheet 4, and then I go back to frequently use and navigate, which is where we are now. The next is Control O, which is to open a new spreadsheet. Now it takes you to the file open directory where you can select the file from. We're not going to dwell too long on this. Now, saving a spreadsheet, Control S, same as um, many other packages we have used. Control S is simply save, and once you do that, if you have saved the file before, it's just going to load at the bottom, and if you haven't, it's going to take you to a pop-up page where you can rename your file before you save for easy identification. Then we have Control C. So let's say I'm here and I press Control C. I have copied that cell. Now, because I've copied this cell, it's just rotating. And then our next command is paste, Control V. So I take this down here and I Control V. And as simple as that, it's replicated. Now, we have the undo. So let's say I mistakenly delete this cell, and then I hit my Control Z, it comes back. Now, redo, which is Control Y, just helps you, like I explained when we were doing our Microsoft Word package. It helps you to redo what you did before. So I hit on Control Y before, and it deleted what I had previously deleted and restored because it is redoing what I undid. I don't know if that is clear. Now I hit Control Z again, which is undo, and it comes out again. So it's just envision it like a timeline. For every Control Z, you are going backwards, and for every Control Y you hit, you are going forward. So if you undo with Control Z and you want to bring it back or bring back the change you had effected, if you write the number 1 and you delete it by accident, and then you press Control Z, it's going to bring it back because it's taking you back to when the 1 existed. But if you press Control Y again, it's going to take you forward in that timeline to where the 1 doesn't exist anymore. So it just helps you to navigate forward and backward in a way. All right. Now, Control X All right, we'll come here where I have take me written and I hit Control X. That's cut. Now, what cut does, it's like we said in our Microsoft Word class, it completely removes it and takes it to a new position, whereas copy would replicate. So if I press Control V here, it is just going to easily replicate that there. Now, add a column, or rather delete a column, is alternate HD and then C. So let's come here. Let me take it to the top where we can see what's going on. All right. And then alternate HD and C. Oh, what's going on now? No, it's not supposed to be in. It's not very high. Okay, did we see that? Let me hit Control Z. Now, if you look at the text, don't delete me, it doesn't move because the text don't delete me was typed in cell C19. Now it's extending to the end because it's written as a straight line and it's just showing there. But all of that text is embedded into C19. So when I click on cell D or column D and I hit the alternate HDC, it removes, you just notice that there's a movement and the copy me that was written 4 times has been reduced to 3 times because one whole column is gone. So I'm going to do Control Z and bring that back to where it was. Just hold on a bit. All right, I'm back. Sorry for that breaking transmission. Okay, so coming back to our worksheet, go to Formula tab, alternate M, and it brings out the Formula tab. If you look at the top, just keep your eyes focused at the top. I'm coming back to, and then alternate M brings out the Formula tab. Formula tab gives you all of the formulas that are available to you in Microsoft Excel. And for every letter you see assigned there, it does a different function. With every one you hit, it gives you a different function. So Microsoft Excel can be used without necessarily moving your mouse a lot. Just with push of a button, you can maneuver your way around the whole workspace. All right. Now going to the home tab is alternate H. So let's say I hit alternate M and I hit alternate H. Okay. Alternate H here goes back to home. As simple as that. All right. I hope we are together. Okay. Now, I'd like to show us the shortcuts to use to navigate in cells. So I told you the other day that if you were to hit the tab button whenever you have selected a cell, so for example, I am on this cell now and I want to move to my right. As I hit tab, I move to the right. So if I want to go down, I hit after typing whatever it is I want to type, I hit enter, I go down. But if I don't want to go down and I want to go to the side, whenever I type, I hit tab and I move. That's as straightforward as it is. Now, if I want to move one cell to the left in a worksheet or to the previous option in a dialog box. So the dialog boxes are those pop-up menus that come out whenever we click something. We use the shift and tab. So shift tab would move you a cell to the left in a worksheet. All right, like you just saw here now. Let me just do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 times I moved. Okay. Now, if you want to move to the last cell, you look for the end button. The end button is just a single button that's written end on it, usually on the right-hand side of your system. For some people, it might be on the extreme right. For some, it might be at the top, but still on the right. If you're using the desktop, it will be in the center where you have those special keys. All right, so I hit Control End, and it takes me to the last of the selectable options that is in the space where I'm currently navigating. All right, so that's for Control End. Now to move to the beginning, Control Home, and yeah, that's taking me back to the top where we have frequently written. All right, now I don't like my zoom. Yes, let me zoom it out a bit. Okay. Now, if I am moving to the next sheet in a workbook, so when you look at your bottom, let me hide this here, the bottom of your Excel workspace, if you have multiple sheets open, like I do, so I have the first one as class 1, the second as frequently used and navigate, the third as sheet 4, and the next as sheet 3. So if I want to move to the next sheet in a workbook, I hold Control and hit the button page down. All right, and it's taking me to sheet 4, which is empty. And if I do it again, it takes me to sheet 3. All right. Now, if you do Control and page up, it takes you backwards. So it has taken me back to our original worksheet. Now, to move to the edge of the current data region in the worksheet, that is the current place that has text or numbers, or Control and arrow key, and it has taken me over to the next side. So if I hit it backwards, it takes me back to this place. Now, let's bring it. Yes, I made a workspace here. Yes, so Control and right again, it moves. Now we can also use this in Microsoft Word. If you type a text, let's say you have a sentence, a sentence you want to edit, and you don't want to have to go step by step. So let's look at the formula bar at the top here, at the top of my screen. All right. So instead of moving left, 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 left until I get to the word move, if I hold down my control and hit my left button, it takes me to the end of the word, to end of the word, the end of the word, the end of the word, until I get to the word move. Now I can put that at the front or at the back and choose to manipulate that however I will. All right. So that's this control and arrow key function works in Word as well as Excel. Now to move one screen up is page up. That is, if you have, if you've zoomed into your work like I've done now, page up takes you up and page down will take you down. Just like folding a piece of paper, and then for every page up you do, you look at the upper part that's folded. And for every page down, you look at the lower part of whatever was folded. All right. So that's just how to move your screen up and down without stress. This same function works in Microsoft Word also. It also works in PowerPoint, so that you can easily get to the top or the bottom of your work without stress. All right, now to move one screen to the right. So I have A to H, all right, written here. I have E to H showing on my screen. If I hold alternate and page down, it takes me to I, which follows H. And I have I to P showing. And if I alternate and page down again, it takes me to Q. So it's Q to X. All right, excuse me for a bit.
Hold on. I should do what now? Bring it down or put it on? Is it plugged?
All right, I'm back. Sorry about this again. We are trying to work out. The network has been really terrible today. So, all right. So I was at moving page by page to the right and to the left. All right. So alternate and page up will take me back to the previous zoomed in page, which is I to P. And if I hit alternate and page up again, it takes me back to A to H. All right. So that's just easy manipulation for moving your screen leftward and right. All right. Any questions? Are we good to go? All right. I take your silence as compliance and I'll carry on. Okay. So looking at more of our shortcut keys, we move to our next sheet, sheet 4. Now, we're looking at how to format text inside cells. All right. And if you remember, starting from the very first one, what we did in our last class, the very first thing we did was to format, and we did control 1, which is what you can see here. And if I come here and we see different options. Now, if I come to the number category under that pop-up menu, you see different subheadings and see different options to write. I come to alignment, you see basically how to align the text. If I come to font, you see font selections. Border will show you the border of the cells. Fill. Now, if I hit on any of these colors in fill, it is going to change the color of that cell to that color. Now, you see a sample shown here. That cell is orange. This is really useful when you want to highlight a cell. Let me say you're going through a cell that has numbers or statistical data of a class, for example, and you want to highlight someone's score who is not agreeing with maybe the one you have on your own personal spreadsheet, or you want to highlight all those who performed badly, you can highlight all their cells, control 1, come here, fill, and then choose a color. Whatever color you select is what is going to reflect in your cell. Okay, so you click on no color to change it back to no color, and that is that about formatting a cell. Now, in our last class, someone had an issue where only option was showing in his format menu. Now you see that I've double clicked on my cell and I'm now editing the text in there. And if I tap Control 1, it's only font that's going to show, and this is exactly what happened to him. So if you want to just format the text, all right, in the font subheading, you just want the font alone. Now you can first double click to edit and then Control 1 so that you will have access to just the font. But if you want other things, other options that's relating to the cell generally and not just the text, not just the font in it, you will have to click out first and then do that. Okay. Now, to add or edit a cell comment, all right, I already have one here. If you notice, there's a small red spot showing in that particular cell, cell D7. All right, and I did that by doing Shift and F2. Okay, so when you hit Shift and F2, rather, your comment chat box comes out, and you can manipulate that however you want. Now, I wrote this is a cell comment. Now, if I say Victor, please treat. Okay, and I click outside the box. Now, when Victor receives this Excel sheet and he sees this red sign here, knowing that as he comes here, I don't even have to click on it. You just hover over it and it shows you Victor Play Street. So he will see whatever error there is there and would know that his attention is being called. And that's as simple as it is for adding a comment. Now, to display the create table dialog box. All right, so you want to create a table, but you don't want to go all the way to insert and create it one by one. You just ask yourself, what is the dimension of my table? Let's say you want a 2 by 3 table, or let's say 3 by 4. So you hold your shift down, right, that's 3, and then that first line is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. All right, so you've done a 3 by 4, but obviously there's nothing inside. You just highlighted it. Now, Control L. Control L shows you the create table dialog box. Now you can click my table has headers to make sure that there's a section for headers. So what's going to do is that it's going to create a table, but that first row, the very first row will be for headers. All right. But if you do not click on this option, this my table has headers, it's just going to give you a table in the Excel sheet. So you're going to have a 3 by 4 table without a heading. Okay, so let's click on this and it has shown me column 1, column 2, and column 3. All right, now let's undo that. Control Z and then Control T, which is the same thing, either Control L or Control T. So it's the same thing. Now I'm not going to click my table has headers and I hit OK. All right, it has now added 2 more rows inside. You understand? It has given you a dynamic looking table that is different from the normal table you would expect, which you would just have one header and give you your working space to manipulate. All right, so Control Z, we're done with that, and we move to the next. Now, next thing we have here is enter the current time. All right, if you hold on Control and Shift and colon, it gives you time, and this is 6:34 p.m. Okay, just change to 6:35. All right, clear that. Control Shift colon again, 6:35. All right, and if I hit that again, it just duplicates the time for me, and I don't want that, so I clear all that and I click out. All right, so if at all you need to add a timestamp to any of your Excel sheets, instead of looking for what the time is and looking for how to type it, just Control Shift and colon, and your timestamp will be there. This is 1:48 p.m. because I edited this file for the last time by 1:48 p.m. All right, now to enter the current date. Now I formatted this because it wasn't giving me what I wanted initially, but all you need to do is control and semicolon, and it gives you the current date. Colon. Uh-huh. Yeah, so I have my time and my date timestamps there, or my date stamps there, without much hassle. This will help you to add your dates for signature purposes for referencing without, again, having to type everything out one by one. Okay, so let's go to the next shortcut. Let's say I have a set of numbers, let's say 6, 7, 5, 2, 9. All right, and I want this to easily break it for me with a separator. Remember, we talked about separators the last time, and okay, and we want our texts separated. All right. You. Yeah, okay. Sorry, hold on a bit. and my Excel seems to be acting up. So just give me a few seconds. Let me rectify this issue. Mine keeps changing to hashtags instead of displaying my numbers as I want. Okay, so just give me a few. Oh, okay, we're back. Sorry, let me call on my assistant. Okay, some of our colleagues are trying to join on the WhatsApp group chat. Let me just reply to them. All right. So let's carry on, please. We're just trying to make sure everyone is being carried along. All right. So our figures, our digits, Control, Shift, and exclamation. Okay, I see what's giving me this issue now. Yeah, separation. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me just run this back. Change your settings to accounting. Come on now. All right. So when you when you type out a number, and if for any reason it's changing to the hash sign like you were seeing on my screen just now, change your setting under the number heading in the home ribbon. Yeah. So you come to the home tab, look in the ribbon, and you see the number where we have the breaker, the comma style that we used to format numbers in the previous class. Yeah. Either you click on this and change to accounting or number, and it's going to give you the desired outcome. So we're just looking for how to put in the number format without having to go through much stress, even though my own is trying to stress me at the end of the day. Okay. And then if we're trying to get scientific numbers, which is basically exponentials. So let's say I have a long digit, all right, and I want to quickly turn that to scientific number so that it won't be so long. You hit Control, Shift, and caret. For the caret sign, like if you look on my screen now, the caret sign is this upward pointing arrow that's usually on number 6, the number 6 on the keyboard. All right. Yeah, the number 6 on the keyboard. If you just hit on Control Shift and that, it gives you the desired format which you're looking for, which is the exponential or scientific numbers. All right. Now let's come over to the next shortcut, which is to insert dialog box to insert blank cells. All right. So I want a blank cell here in F34. Now what the option is going to do when you hit Control Shift and plus, it gives you a dialog box that asks you, what do you want to add, basically. So let's hit Control Shift and plus, and it's asking me shift cells to the right, shift cells down, put in an entire row or put in an entire column. Now, depending on what you want, A to the right hand side, so that instead of being in F34, it goes to G34 and it's above this C. I'm going to click on shift cells right, okay, and click OK, and it goes. It gives me a blank space in F34. Whereas Control Z, if I hit on this Control Shift plus again, and I leave my selector on shift cells down, and I hit OK, it takes my A down. But if you notice, the next A that was under it has gone down also. Okay, so it has gone lower to align itself with the next. This would help you if you are editing a cell, an cell. Now, instead of deleting the content, now if you want to add in an entire row, it's basically the same thing, Control Shift and plus, and you add either entire row or entire column. Now remember, your row goes from left to right and column goes from up to down. All right, so depending on what you want, however you want to manipulate your worksheet, you'd do what you need to do. All right, now the reverse is the case for what we just did. If you do control and minus, it's going to delete selected cells. If you highlight a couple of cells and you click on delete. All right, now to open the paste special dialog box, Control Alt and V. Now, Control Alt V. When I came across this shortcut for the first time, I was wondering what I would use it for, and I actually did struggle to open it for some reason. So I don't know if that is a glitch from maybe the X end. Well, I know that I wanted us to know about it, that there's a function like that. If you remember, we did something similar to this in our Microsoft Word class, where we opened the clipboard and we were able to access things that we have copied over the period. All right, so this is basically the same thing as this paste special dialog box. It's almost like a clipboard history. All right, close to that, but not exactly that. Now I'm trying it again and it's not coming out. I think I would do more research to find out why this actually happens, because it's not the first time it's happening that it's refusing to open. But we'll find a way around that. All right, so let's go to creating or editing a hyperlink. Now a hyperlink is basically just a link or a short line of a part of a link that you see, that if you click, it takes you directly to a root folder or a storage space. All right, so if you hit on Control K, it opens a small insert hyperlink menu. Now, what this does for you is that it helps you to give access to different people at different locations. What do I say now? And access to a storage unit, sort of, yeah, a storage unit, kind of, from wherever they are. But they get this link through your Excel sheet. So instead of going to a long distance or a long length trying to look for how to give them access to this or access to that, if you have a shared network and you are all working on the project together, you can easily just create a hyperlink. So let me create one now so that we see how it actually runs. Okay, so I have all right, and I hit OK. So if you see here, it's just written VS Code, but it's not in plain text, it's in blue and it's underlined. And if I click on VS Code, it opens the folder in my system, all right, that is named VS Code. So it takes you to the root directory, and I can open whatever file I want from here. I can manipulate whatever is here. As long as I have access to that hyperlink, whatever system that has the root folders of whatever is I will have access to. All right. So this is actually a YouTube channel I was working with, just trying to see if some of these things were legit as they claim. Okay. Now, before we look at quick analysis, I want us to understand that Excel is more than just typing words or doing menial projects. It actually has a lot in terms of the calculations that can be done and the analysis that can be done on Microsoft Excel. Okay, so coming back to this, Control Q will display quick analysis options for selected cells. All right, so let me highlight these three and Control Q, and it has shown me quick analysis options. Now, the options are data bars, color, icon sets, greater than or less than, top 10%, and clear. Now, these are tools that are useful in data segmentation and data analysis. All right, so if we were doing a proper data analysis class, I would have shown you graphical information. Okay, this data is going to give you something like a graph chart where you have 54 having a bar onto a certain level, 68 onto a certain level, and 89 up to a certain level. If I were to add a figure higher than 89, and I highlighted that and I added it in, so let me just do that as once, Control Z, come below here and type 995, why not? Okay, and then we highlight all this, Control Q and data bars. If you notice, 89 is no longer getting to the end. If you look at my screen, 89 is no longer getting to the end of its cell because there's now something higher. So it's basically just to show you how, because there's a step up, the one before has respected itself and stayed in its lane. Okay, it's as simple as that. So that's what the data bar does for you. Now, colors will give you colors in terms of. I just hovered over it and it's showing 54 as red, 68 lighter red, 89, and then 95 as dark green, to show you that 95 is the score to get. Okay, now icon sets showing you 54 as a red arrow pointing down, 68 as okay, as average for all the numbers that are here, that's in this number set, and then the other two, 89 and 95, are showing you green arrows pointing up because those ones are in the upper percentile. All right, now greater is showing you greater than. So the two at the bottom are greater than the two, or the two rather, yeah, at the bottom are greater than the two that are written higher up. Yeah, even though they are at the bottom, they actually have higher masses. So, you know, and then the top 10% of the numbers written here is just the 95. So that's the only one highlighted. Now, clear would clear whatever highlight and selection you had done earlier. Okay. Now I hover over clustered and it shows me the bars. Now, almost like the data bars, but these ones are standing upright, like in a chart. Then you have the same kind of graphical representation, but sideways instead. And then you have a line which shows you a linear progression. and then pie chart that shows you the distribution of these numbers according to their sizes. Then you have scatter, gives you scattered points. This is mostly used when you're there to be a link. Maybe you want to form a pattern. You use this scatter chart, and it's going to show you dots. And then, if you look at the line, it's just a line. It's just almost like a linear path. It just goes and then stops where it stops. Whereas scatter would actually give you the points and show you exactly where they are touching. All right. You can click on more for more options, but these are the ones that are under your quick selection options. Now we have more formula options, which I mentioned earlier, and you have the sum. So you hover over sum and it gives you just a total of what you have there. Average gives you an average of the numbers combined, and we know how to do average. You add and divide by the frequency by their total number count, which is 4. All right. Then count shows you just how many figures were selected. The total in percentage will show you over 100%. And then running is just like summing. And then you have sum to the side. Now, this sum to the side would help in tabular graphs that are summing numbers from left to the right. So if you're writing a list, and then you have number 1 or less, since I'm already in a numbered workspace, 52 is going to serve as our 1 now, 53 as our 2, 54 as our 3, and 55 as our 4. Okay, so let's say I have more numbers here. Let's say I have 12, I have 13, I have 19, and I have 10. Okay, if I highlight these 4 from C52 to D55 and Control Q, I come to totals and come to this sideways sum, it's going to add the C52 and D52 and show me their result in F. What's that? Sorry, E52. So C and D53 to E53, and C and D54 to E54, and so on and so on. So that's for the sideways sum. Whereas the downward sum will sum each column individually and give you the totals at the bottom. As many of us as did economics in school, and those who did finance and banking and accounting and business studies, yes, you would usually come across tables that were in this. And with Excel, you can do all of that pretty easily and straightforward without having to go through a lot of stress. Okay. And then table just gives you the option to put it in a table, and spark lines will show you the progression. So if I have a lower number after my 54 and 68 column, the line graph is going to go downwards. Now let's just do that at once. Let's say this is 22 and this is 30, then this is 11 and this is 42. Okay. And then I highlight all of this again, Control Q, and then spark lines. If you notice, the line goes up and then down. And if I were to add another column, the one going to forward already, because our numbers are ranging in that same order. And then in a win-loss, because all the numbers are practically uniform at the end, it just goes in a very straight manner. Okay, now all of these shortcuts aside, I'm going to show you how to do all right, reductions and subtractions here, so that you can just have a feel of how Excel can be used for this. Okay, so let's say I have the figure, the 20, have 20 over here. Now, for every Excel calculation you need to do, you always start with equals. All right, and if you notice, they've already given me options here at the top left. All right, so I want to do sum. What was this now? A57. 57, and it has highlighted A57 for me, and I say sum that with B57. All right, and it has highlighted the two of them. Now, if I hit enter, it gives me 43. As simple as that. Okay. Another way to do this is now if you click on that cell that has the final answer and you look at the formula bar at the top, it shows you the formula that was applied to get that number. It shows you but I told you that in the Excel workspace, if you are writing something colon, all right, and once you've put your colon in there, it just knows that it is from this place to this other place, all right, without any form of stress at all. Okay. Another thing you could do is equals to and type the numbers out yourself. But if you have a lot of numbers, it's going to be a bit stressful for you. Okay, you see, it still give me the same thing, but if you have plenty numbers to add, you would end up stressing yourself. So what you will just do is to simply do with the colon, as I showed you earlier. Now, if we were to subtract one from the other, you would say equals to, now let's do the manual method again, equals to 23 minus 20, and that's equals to 3. All right. Whereas you can do equal to A57, yeah, minus B57, and it gives you 3 also. Okay, so that's all about that for addition and subtraction. Now, I would have loved to go further into this. Let's talk about multiplication, division, and summation. But there's an aspect of this class that has to do with you actually, going the step further to develop yourself. As apart from me just sitting down behind my own screen and talking and giving you instructions on what to do, there's the part of you actually, developing the interest and taking the initiative to do certain things by yourself. All right. So what we are going to do is that with our Google Classrooms that we created, we are going to be interacting over there, and we are going to do exercise here and there, just to make sure that we are actually following up on the things that were taught. Okay. So I'm going to send you, or since I've already sent the link, I'll just update it, put some things there for us to do to keep our minds sharp, to make sure that we're still following up with the Excel. And from time to time, we would cover things on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint again. We'll start our PowerPoint classes from Thursday. That will be Thursday and Friday. So we're going to be going over those things to make sure that we are still keeping in tune. All right. So this is where we will call it a day for today, and we will see ourselves on our platform and in our Google Classrooms. Thank you very much for attending today's lecture. Once again, we would like to say a big thank you to our founder and pioneer, Professor Bourdillon Omijeh, and the sponsors of Bourdillon Omijeh Foundation. And I also like to use this medium to implore you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Bourdillon Omijeh Foundation on YouTube. As simple as that. I'm still going to send this on the WhatsApp group chat to make sure that we are following. All right. Now, we could also use that as part of your assessment. Who knows? But it's going to be a big form of encouragement to all who are involved in this. If you can go there, just give a subscribe, um, like, and share as many posts as you want. All right. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure tutoring you for this class.